when this opportunity was presented to me, I was just super intrigued. And I was like, I want to do it, but I remember feeling pretty insecure. And thankfully, they encouraged me to go for it. And I'm so glad I did. It was just this incredible experience, and I just couldn't get enough of it. Hello. So whenever I meet one-on-one with students, I always enjoy hearing about how they were inspired or interested in learning the harp. And I thought it would be fun to share my story of how I got started with the harp. So just kind of going back in time, I have always loved music. I come from a fairly musical family, and so music has just always been something that I have really enjoyed. And so I took a few years of piano growing up. I sang in choirs in my church and in school. And then when I was in the third grade, so around 8 years old, my elementary school music teacher was a harpist, and she decided to start a program for kids my age or older to have the opportunity to learn how to play the harp. And I knew what a harp was at that point, but I don't know that I'd ever really heard one played before. But when this opportunity was presented to me, I was just super intrigued. So I went home and I told my parents about it. And I was like, I want to do it, but I remember feeling pretty insecure. At that time, I couldn't read sheet music. And so I was just worried that that was going to hold me back. And so I told my parents that, and thankfully they encouraged me to go for it. And I'm so glad I did. Obviously, I wouldn't be here in front of you right now if it weren't for taking that step. And it's been just such a amazing part of my life that I'm so thankful for. So I remember the very first song I learned was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, a classic, of course. And I remember what it felt like to pluck the strings for the first time. And I just loved how my fingers felt on the strings. I loved the sound. I loved feeling the whole instrument vibrate. It was just this incredible experience, and I just couldn't get enough of it. And I can remember back, my friends probably thought I was a little weird for doing this, but when I would be like in math class or science class, I would have my hand under my desk and be going like this, like pretending that I was plucking, because I just loved how it felt, and I was just like so eager for it to be after school so I could go play my harp again. So as much as I loved playing, it was definitely not an easy journey. I mentioned that I didn't read sheet music when I started playing, and it wasn't until probably like, I don't know, between 5 or 6 years before I really started being able to easily read music. And so that was really frustrating because I reached this point where I was really trying to progress, but the complexity of the music I was playing was far beyond like what I was able to read. And so that meant I had to like memorize everything, which made it really challenging. It wasn't impossible, but I just felt like it slowed me down. So that was one thing. And so once I got to high school, I went to study with a new teacher. And at this point, I hadn't really learned pretty solid technique, and that was really limiting like the music I was able to play. And so this teacher, she helped me relearn good technique, which felt like a major step back at the time. It was really difficult to kind of go back to those fundamentals, but it was so worth it because it allowed me to really play with that freedom and joy that I was craving. So when it came time to decide like what I wanted to do in college, what I wanted to study, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew that I loved playing the harp. And so I was like, all right, this is it. I think I'm going to study harp in college. And I'm so glad I did. I met so many amazing friends and other musicians and teachers that just taught me so much and really deepened my love for music and for the harp. And so over the years, like I've struggled with a lot of self-doubt and perfectionism. Maybe some of you can relate to that. And that can be a tricky thing to work through, especially like when you love doing something so much, like playing the harp or maybe another activity that you enjoy, that you kind of hold yourself to this standard. And so you're eager to reach that point. But yeah, I had to learn to give myself a lot of grace while also challenging myself to go out of my comfort zone, which was something that was challenging for me. I consider myself more of a more reserved, shy person, but I think playing the harp really did help me get out of my comfort zone and like play in front of people and kind of find my voice, as cliche as that sounds, but kind of find my voice in music, which really helped me grow as a person overall. I think learning to play the harp taught me a lot of discipline. It taught me a lot of patience because, as I mentioned, learning does not happen overnight. As one of my teachers told me as I was learning, like learning is often a circle rather than like starting from point A and getting to point B. Like you often have to like go back and reinforce things, which it does take some patience and a lot of perseverance. So I think yeah, it's really helped me kind of press into those things instead of trying to resist it and like rush the process. And I've also had my fair share of failures as well. If you've watched my videos on performances that have not been what I was hoped they would be, it can be really difficult to separate your worth as a person from what you do. I think that's the case with anything in life, but that's definitely something I've had to work through as well. And the other thing I've learned, even now more so like working with students, is that learning good technique from the start is so worth it. It kind of feels boring. It feels like, oh, I just want to get to the fun part. But technique, like learning solid technique, is what allows you to really enjoy and be able to play the music that you want to play. So that's one thing I want to encourage you with, that it is worth putting in the time to learn really solid technique, but don't let it become the end goal that you feel paralyzed by it either. So yeah, that's my story. Like once I made it through college, I went on to teach at a high school and middle school, and that was really fun before my path led me to learn the harp, where I now get to do this and teach other students how to play the harp, which is amazing. So I hope my story can be an encouragement to you. Like I learned the harp even feeling really insecure about not reading sheet music. Maybe you feel the same way, whether it's with learning an instrument or another skill. Maybe you're thinking, man, I don't have any musical experience. I don't want that to hold you back or any other insecurity you have. I think you should go for it. And as long as you've got the right tools and teaching, you're going to be set up well. Things are always going to feel new and challenging when you don't know how to do them, but they're still worth trying. Learning the harp or anything, any new skill, it's going to come with its ups and downs, and there's going to be days where you wonder if you can really do it, if it's worth doing. It might feel discouraging at times, but I think just going back to remembering what inspired you to play in the first place can be really motivating and help carry you through those tough times. So I would love to hear from you. What inspired you to play the harp? You can let me know in the comments.